What's going on, everyone? My name is Jay Statik and this is Static Sessions. We're talking about EQing today. So last week was compression, this week is EQing. The reason why we're talking about them back to back is because EQing and compression are kind of like your salt and pepper. If you're cooking food, you need your salt and pepper. For this, you need your salt and pepper throughout a track. Whether it's about producing a song, recording a song, mixing down a song, mastering a song, you're always going to be using some form of compression, some form of EQing. A lot of the effects that you guys use these days as well, whether it's distortion or flanging or whatever that may be, they're all a combination of the two things, compression and EQ. There's nothing else beyond those two. So all these little effects that you guys do use, they usually end up being a combination of those two types of VSTs or those two types of effects. What we're going to do is we're going to get into what EQing is, the different types of EQing, the different types of bells and curves and all that kind of stuff that you can use, and how it helps in a track. So again, we're going to go back to this vocal because it's a live recorded vocal. I think it makes the most sense to listen to this, get an idea of what it is that we're going to be doing within this vocal. So if we listen to this vocal right now, like this, you can hear there's a little bit of low end in the vocal. There's some sharpness on the high end. That's a newly recorded booth, so you're still hearing some reflections which sound a little bit sharp. So we're going to try to get rid of some of those. First thing I'm going to do using FabFilter Q2 is roll off the low end. And right away, it cleans up that low end, makes it sound a little bit nicer. And now we're going to go through and try to do a little sweep of the high end, try to see where we can get rid of some sharp points and see where it goes from there. So I don't like that frequency that's in there. I think it's really sharp and annoying. It's not very loud. That's a great thing, but I can get rid of it at any degree that I choose. So on the top right of this fab filter, you can, if you want to do a little bit of a EQ drop off or you want to do a severe one, I always pick 30 dB because I have more control over how much I want to get rid of. And so while it's playing, I'm going to decide how much I want to get rid of. And I don't like the low end in this either, so I'm going to see where I can control that. Now I hear that, it sounds like just like a box, so I'm going to get rid of that. Now, while I'm doing this, I am getting rid of certain EQ points, like certain frequencies. The thing I'm listening to is when I get rid of that frequency, in my head, I'm listening to what else is it affecting. So is it because I got rid of, say, 100 or 200 hertz, is it making the frequencies at the 1K, 2K, 3K, 4K range seem higher or seem more prominent? And if they are, if I got rid of that, is it going to make me get rid of the other ones? And if I do that, does it kill the entire vocal? Does it kill the entire sound? What does it do? So a very important thing to do when EQing, both whether it's reductive EQing, which is getting rid of certain frequencies, or additive EQing, which is adding certain frequencies, you want to hear what it does to the other frequencies. You don't want to keep listening to the same frequency you're getting rid of, because if you do that, by the time you're done, you'll have nothing left because you're going to think everything sounds kind of weird or whack or whatever it may be. So it's really important to get rid of the frequencies that you want to and listen to how it affects the other ones. And a cool way to control the other frequencies from standing out too much is once you've done your main tweaks to your EQ, throw a compressor after it. See how the compressor affects the EQ frequency points that might be standing out at those points. So right now with this vocal, I'm going to throw an EQ on after, and if I think it doesn't do enough, I might throw on one before as well, both light, just to see what happens. Like right there, I can hear that point that I don't like, so I'm going to actually work with that before I do the EQ. Yeah, I don't like that. That is like the 6K range. I did a little bit, but now throw in a little bit of LA to it. And it makes the world of a difference. Now all those points that I reduced and it made the other ones stand out a little bit. When I threw the LA2A on afterwards, it kind of controlled those points and it softened it up a little bit and makes it sound more bearable to listen to without it being super sharp or anything on that matter. So different parts of an EQ that you might want to know is if I click on this point, which I reduce something from here, you got your frequency, which you get to choose what frequency you want to, affect. Then you got your gain. You can reduce or you can add, and you got your Q. Now the Q is the main thing. This is what I was working with while I was going through this frequency sweep to see what I wanted to get rid of. The Q allows me to figure out what range of frequencies I want to get rid of. Do I want to affect only one frequency and narrow it down to the least amount possible? Or do I want to use a broader range because, yeah, I want to affect this frequency, but I also want to affect these ones beside it. So let's say I pick this one over here. If I change the Q, you'll see that it affects more of a frequency range. It creates a little bit of a bigger V. If I do a smaller Q, it'll affect less of the frequencies around it and affect more of the frequency that I'm looking for. I usually keep a tighter Q because I know based on what I'm trying to get rid of, I know it'll get rid of those sounds. Unless it's to me a very bad recording, I'm getting rid of a lot more than just a little narrow band. Going back to what I was talking about with the whole EQ and compression thing, like I was saying, it's kind of like salt and pepper. You got to make sure, don't be told that you can only use one EQ and you should use it properly, and that's only for best case scenarios. And honestly, in the world we live in today, everyone's doing recordings at home, in friggin' bathrooms, wherever they feel like doing their recordings, they're doing them and they're sending them and they're getting them mixed and mastered from some top level guys, some non-top level guys. Doesn't matter who it is. If you're working with a vocal, use multiple stages of light compression, use multiple EQ points, even use distortion, use whatever you feel like will get your vocal sounding how you want it to, whether that's front, wide, and center, or whatever it might be, right in the front of your speakers, or maybe back in the background, reverbed out. Depending on what you're looking to get to, use the right amount of EQ and compression to get your vocal to that point. The key thing for vocals is adding energy. So if you use too much compression, you get rid of too much, say top end or mid-range EQ, you will lose the energy in your vocals. So you want to try to keep that energy while maintaining good work ethic with both your compression and your EQ. That's a really important part, I think. People underestimate how much a compressor and EQ can do together. But yeah, that is pretty much EQing and how to use it, how to go about it. If you have any questions or you want me to go more in depth in certain parts of this EQ talk, definitely hit me up in the comments. I will be checking. And otherwise, like, comment, subscribe, click that little bell. You'll get future notifications on the next videos that are coming up. And otherwise, stay tuned.